beat the Rockies 4-2. They moved to within a half a game of the Rockies in the NL West. The Diamondbacks a game and a half out after a 5-3 win over the Braves. Elsewhere in National League, Brewers 4, Giants 2. Cubs and Nationals rained out. They'll play a doubleheader.
Got you covered, Las Vegas. Interviews, insights, and your input are all part of Sports Adrenaline. Here are your hosts, Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
From Las Vegas, welcome to the Sports Adrenaline Radio Show. Could the Raiders wind up in Las Vegas a year early in 2019 if a pending antitrust lawsuit is filed against the team and the National Football League? UNLV football hoping to bounce back after last week's loss to number 15 USC. The Rebels are hoping to get the first win of the year at home against UTEP as a 24-point favorite tonight. Golden Knights rookies on the ice tonight against Colorado in the rookie face-off. Veterans report next week, and VGK will have to start this season without the services of one Nate Schmidt. Two Las Vegas Aces vie for roster spots in the USA Women's World Cup team. You know, there's a 0% chance of precipitation in the forecast, yet the USL Las Vegas Lights are going to make it rain tonight. $5,000 is going to be dropped out of a helicopter.
How long did you work on that line for?
It took me all night. Tony Cordasco, he's John Castanino. Matt Gutierrez is here. Haley Brooks with the day off. We are brought to you by our fine sponsors, The Pint on Charleston and Wallapai, and by Michael Westra, Allstate. Call 702-435-4211. Our guests on today's show, we are stacked. Larry Brown, the county commissioner, is going to be here. He'll be talking about the stadium parking plan. Nate Jacobson, UNLV's starting right tackle, will talk about the Rebels and tonight's game. Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking will be here to talk about the week number 1 NFL action. Late edition, Brian Campbell, CBS Sports combat sports writer, will talk about number 6, Danny Swift, versus number 4, Showtime Porter, and Canelo versus Triple G. We've got Sonia Schlobaum. She's behind the dials. Scott Gilbranson is directing today's show. And that's it. That's our show.
How do you manage that, Tony? I mean, that's a lot of moving parts there that you just listed out. And I've never seen one man so disappointed to have two of his co-hosts back in the studio this week.
Two.
I had a lot of syllables last week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, last week we were gone
in
L.A., and now we're back, and now you look sad.
Yeah,
why is that?
I'm a little disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm disappointed that Haley's not here today, but she did leave us a couple of tickets to give away.
Yeah, awesome giveaway.
So coming up an hour or two, you could win a pair of tickets to go to the NASCAR event, the South Point 400, coming up 1 week from tomorrow over there at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in what is, I think, the biggest weekend in sports history in this city.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy how we're stretched out everywhere now. You look at this city 2 years ago, and I could go to all of NASCAR weekend. I could go to qualifying on Friday. I could go to the race on Saturday and the race on Sunday. But now I've got the Canelo fight next Saturday, and I've got the race on Sunday, and I'm missing, the triple header. I'll see one out of the three races. It's just.
And are you going to watch football on your phone?
I'm going to have to, right?
You can hear my call next week. I know how much you really are going to be missing me.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. When's the last time UNLV has covered as a double-digit favorite? Can you tell me that? I hope Robert Walker knows this because he's in our second hour. I'm going to ask him.
Good question.
Yeah.
Let's start off, guys, with the Raider Nation. So if this antitrust lawsuit is filed by the city of Oakland, and all expectations are that it will happen against the National Football League, against the Raiders, this team could be forced now. The Raiders could be forced to leave Oakland at the conclusion of this season. The lawsuit stems from the Raiders' move to Las Vegas after the 2019 season. The Raiders have a year-to-year lease with the Oakland Coliseum. They were expected to renew things, right, in their final year in the Bay in 2019. Adrenaline team. This lawsuit could be filed officially by Monday. Will they head to Las Vegas? I say N-O. I have heard internally Raiders folks telling me San Diego, San Antonio, and yes, Mexico City.
Stop with Mexico City.
Are among the candidates, and why? Why would they not? They're not going to come to this. Why would they come to Las Vegas?
Why would the Raiders want to put themselves in Mexico City and have to travel all over the world, basically, to play football every Sunday? That would destroy that team for an entire season. Why would you put yourself in another country? It's hard enough to go to London once a year. It's hard enough to go to Mexico City once a year.
You have an empty stadium in San Diego. San Antonio got dissed.
Viable.
San Antonio got dissed. Mexico City's viable.
Mexico City's not viable at all.
Do you think they'd come here though, Matty?
No, I would like to see them come here, but you'd have to put the renovations into Sam Boyd.
Yeah, exactly.
And we talked about it on Thursday night.
On our Facebook Live show.
You're going to have to weigh out the cost. Is it going to cost you more to lease out a stadium in San Diego or San Antonio or Berkeley or wherever? Is it going to cost you more to lease out that stadium for a season than it will to put renovations into Sam Boyd for a season? That's where I think they should start weighing things out. If you can renovate Sam Boyd enough to make it viable for one season and come in under whatever it's going to cost you to lease those stadiums, then do it. Why not? I don't want to hear this, the grand entrance and the new stadium, blah, blah, blah. L.A. or the Rams and the Chargers are already playing in L.A., and that's without the stadium done.
To me, it's not about a grand entrance, though, guys. There's just too much going on here. The Raiders, they're building a stadium. They're building a practice facility.
What does that have to do with what's going on here?
They're figuring out logistics and parking and everything else. That's pandemonium.
The big thing, Tony, is I think tickets. You've got this not maybe drama right now with season ticket sales, but how are you going to do that now if the Raiders come here a year early? Just all stadium and all things aside, I think tickets would be enough of a nightmare on its own to where people on the waiting list, all right, they want access now. Well, if they're coming early and you're not on the waiting list, maybe people are like, hey, I didn't sign up for the waiting list because I thought it was going to be 2020.
Make it simple. One has nothing to do with the other. 2019 is open tickets.
Right.
Get your tickets now.
Then you're going to piss off a lot of people, I think, doing that.
I don't think so because Sam Boyd has nothing to do with the new stadium. If you're on a list or you've already bought tickets for the new stadium, that has nothing to do with Sam Boyd. They're completely different. Just let tickets be what they are. Sell them and let them go.
They're going to have to renovate Sam Boyd Stadium for the preseason game.
And then blow it up the next year. I mean, that's what they do.
If the cost,
I don't think they'll blow it up.
If it's going to cost you, $4.5 million to lease out Qualcomm for a season, and you only need to put $2 or $3 million into Sam Boyd, let's say, and obviously I'm just throwing numbers out there, but if that's the case, then why wouldn't you do that?
Right. I'm pretty sure I don't see them coming to Vegas by any stretch.
I don't either.
And I think another city's going to fall all over themselves and give them a sweetheart deal, a $1 a game lease deal, just to bring the team out there.
But we
That's
have
what I
been
would
saying
see.
for how long
Right.
that they're not playing in Oakland in 2019. We've
We've
been on that
saying
train
that
for
for
at
a
least
year
2
and a
years
half.
now.
What
Yeah.
if, and I know this maybe is like a 1% likelihood, but what if they have the team play in Reno for a year and they
no.
redo? Is it Mackey Stadium? out
Mackey's,
there?
Yeah,
Mackey's no
Mackey
good
Stadium.
either.
It
It's
isn't.
not-
It isn't. But I'm just saying because there's no plans to blow that thing up anytime soon. Maybe Nevada and maybe the folks in Northern Nevada might have enough push here to say, screw Vegas, which is what they do in Northern Nevada. Put in some money into Mackey Stadium, play up there for a year, and then you go to Vegas. Just throwing it out there.
So someone mentioned Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as I did when we spoke to Jeff Motley almost a year ago. I said, is this a viable area, venue to play either a college game like they're doing at another NASCAR track or the
Much
NFL?
different track there, Tony. You're
I
talking
know,
about
this thing's
Bristol,
massive.
Tennessee. That's a
Right.
short track.
Right.
And even then,
This is a long track.
that's still, you put the field in the middle there, and it still looks pretty far away.
Yeah.
I
told you.
mean,
I told you
it's-
EDC because I'm that raver guy.
Yeah, but that's,
The
again, that's
main
completely
stage is
different.
100 yards,
Yeah,
and
but
it's just a
Are
little
people
piece
sitting
of,
in the grandstands
no,
to watch
but
the
it's just
concert?
it's
No.
just a little piece of that entire infield. It's
Yeah,
massive.
there's no. I don't think that. I don't think you. It wouldn't be good football. I mean, you'd have to hand out binoculars at the door to every single person that walked through just to be able to see anything on the field. That'd be like sitting in the top row of the tallest stadium probably in the world just to watch a football game. That'd be horrible.
So they're not coming to Vegas. I mean, I don't think.
Mexico,
It'll just
Mexico.
it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out in Oakland. Man, how screwed up is that city? They don't have the money to help out the team, and I think what the Raiders asked was pretty modest in today's terms, right? They wanted the land and they wanted some tax breaks, something to that effect. They wanted revenue from the area around the stadium too, and Oakland said no, but yet they'll spend millions on this antitrust lawsuit.
Well, apparently, what I've been reading is that the lawyers are willing to forego the upfront costs
gotcha.
if the Raiders follow
So
through
it's
with
like
this lawsuit.
personal
So-
injury lawyers.
right?
Hey, yeah.
yeah,
if-
same kind of thing.
Don't pay us if we don't win.
Yeah,
The Raiders wanted to get out of Oakland as soon as possible, right? But the word that we had heard all along is either, kick us out. We don't want to leave on our own because that would be a PR nightmare, right? So right now, I think it's starting to fall into their favor. We never, ever, ever thought that they would play the 2019 season regardless in the city of Oakland. There's no way.
I really liked Cal as an option, but now it seems like, man, just get the hell out of the Bay Area at this point. I thought Cal made the most sense. Logistically, it's closest. It's right up. It's a 10-minute BART ride up to Berkeley from the Coliseum. But I mean, with the way that the Bay Area is just completely turning their back on the Raiders at this
And
point.
especially if this season's a disaster.
Yeah, it's not looking good at this point. I had them going 10-6 this year.
Now you
in
have
my,
them 6 and 10.
No, I am not going to change
Go
my
ahead, bail
predictions.
out on 'em.
I'm
Bail
not going
out
to
on
change
your
my
team.
predictions at all.
Okay.
Can he hear me?
Yeah.
I don't think he can hear me.
No, I think you're
No,
going to
no,
bail
no,
out.
no.
I think you'll bail out.
I'm not changing
Tony's
my predictions
in his
at
late
all.
70s now, I think.
Yeah, sure. So in preparation for Monday night's game versus the Rams, so Gruden announced his 6 captains for the season: Derek Carr, Rodney Hudson, Bruce Irvin, Derek Johnson, Kyle Wilbur, and everyone was given the business. Why Reggie Nelson? Why Reggie Nelson?
Because he knows the system.
Yeah, everyone was killing him yesterday.
He knows the system. He was a captain on the team last year. He probably has some kind of clout in the locker room, I would assume, having been a captain in the past. And with the whole Max situation or debacle, whatever you want to call it, going down the way that it did, you need guys to step up and really just kind of get that locker room back. Make sure that everybody's on the same page going into what I think is going to be a really ugly game against the Rams. I don't think the Raiders have a shot in this game with or without Khalil Mack. I thought that. I had the Rams winning big 2 months ago.
We'll be talking more about the NFL. We'll check in with Robert Walker later on from U.S. Bookmaking. Coming up this hour, Nate Jacobson, UNLV's starting right tackle. Brian Campbell, CBS Sports combat sports writer. Much more on the way. You're tuned in to CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Sports Radio. Your input is always welcome at 702-889-5978. You're listening to Sports Adrenaline with Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks.
Haley with the day off, and Sonia Schlobaum, you could turn your mic on. We just heard your radio spot. Good job for the pint.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, our new sponsors, and you and I are both really bummed today because Colton Underwood will be the new Bachelor. The guy is so emo.
Here's where
he's
John
gonna
check
cry.
out.
He's gonna be crying the entire time.
But didn't he played football, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's kind of a wuss. He's the virgin guy from The Bachelor.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, from The
He's just very
Bachelorette.
emotional.
He's so emotional. He's gonna cry every time he talks to a woman.
I mean, sometimes people are wired like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna be into
That's
that.
why Tony's single.
So, still single. So we started this prediction board here in the studio. Matt, Raiders will not play in Mexico in 19. Dasco, Raiders to Mexico City. Dasco, Pro Rugby and Lacrosse to
You
Las
didn't
Vegas
mention that in the first
in
segment.
19.
You're just
JC,
throwing
Tony
stuff
will
out now.
ignore anything Matt and John say. That's not a prediction. Yeah, that is.
We
a
know the last
prediction.
one's
Oh,
accurate.
pretty
you know what we
accurate.
need to add up there? That the new stadium in Summerlin will not be ready by the time the 51s open up the 2019 campaign. That's going to go up
What are
there.
you on, Tony? What are you on?
I'm on No Sleep and
Bachelor.
The Bachelor in Paradise. No, it's the Bachelor in Paradise time. A few reruns there. So, Rebel football, UNLV attempting to rebound today from that opening day loss, 43-21 at USC. John, you and Matt were there. Guys, what was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was great. Rebel fans turned out. I think it was 500. 500
I like
or
when
so.
John tries to be crunk.
It was good.
It was good. It was good. I told Tony this the other night. It was good to hear the Rebels chant throughout the course of the game. They were
14-9 lead.
They were
Rebels
still
are going
Well,
crazy.
I mean, even in the fourth quarter when they would make a big stop or generate even a little bit of offense in the third quarter, you heard the fans really get into it because it was a game. It's a one-score game the entire game up until the fourth quarter where USC just pulled away from them. But it was fun. It was fun to go to a big-time college atmosphere and watch the Rebels actually perform for, even if it was only three quarters of football.
Right.
And like last year was, 44-7 at the half at Ohio State, and they were playing fourth, fifth, sixth-string guys down the stretch.
Guys, did the band show up?
Band did not show up.
Okay. The UNLV
There's only like
marching band.
16 of them, so you wouldn't have heard
I
them
know.
anyway.
Well, I was waiting for Smoke on the Water to hear that on TV come through.
Nope, just every Trojan first down got used to that band. I enjoyed
Man.
listening to the USC band.
My son enjoyed it for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then he goes, "Do they ever play anything else?"
No.
I said, "No, that's it, man. Get
That's
used to it. That's
annoying.
all you're going to hear for the next 3 hours."
But those fans got really quiet. I mean, 59,000 or so was the attendance at the Coliseum. And as I said, 14-9. You heard the Rebels chant throughout, which was cool. And the Coliseum was really, really quiet.
Yeah.
It was really enjoyable. And I just enjoyed the game. It was good. And that
You were
moves
on the
forward-
field? Were you on the field?
Yeah,
John?
I was down on the field with the kids. We were filming.
Came and hung out with me for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
said hi to Maddie and his son down there. It was, just cool atmosphere, cool campus. We talked about this. I mean, when you have 100 years more tradition than UNLV does, their campus, it's a closed campus, which I didn't know. They put gates up and they lock it down at night, so you can't just freely come in and out.
Well, I mean, you've seen that area, yeah?
Right, yeah. Well, not bad. I mean, there's some unsavory
outside of the
characters.
gates,
Yeah,
It's
unsavory
rough.
characters
Stay
out
inside
there.
the gates. You're in good shape.
But it was great. And the letdown, right? People are talking about a letdown. And again, I'll repeat myself. When's the last time UNLV covered as a double-digit favorite? I don't see a cover here. I mean, I see a win, but, do they perform as well as they performed in a loss to USC?
Probably the Idaho State game here where they scored
No
80
idea.
points.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right?
probably it.
That's it, the 80-point blowout
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
So Lexington Thomas, I want to talk about him. Good day, except for that fumble on the opening play of the game, but the defense really came back, and they really stiffened. He rushed for 136 yards on 14 carries. My prediction, I should put that's got to be up there. My prediction was Lex Thomas, more yards, less carries. More
We're going to
yards.
have to get like 6
Lex-
more boards all dedicated to Tony and his
So I like the stiff
predictions.
body Lex. And you're going to hear Nate Jacobson later on that reverse play where the entire offensive line, guys, is yelling reverse as if you're on defense going draw, draw. It's the offensive line was yelling. And so USC's like, what? Reverse? And they were like.
You saw them bite, too.
They totally
You saw them bite.
That was a well-executed play. Over 300 yards rushing for UNLV.
I asked Lexington after that game, what did you see on that play? And he said, I didn't see anything. I just saw daylight in front of me.
There was absolute daylight.
There was nobody over there.
That was awesome.
Jacobson steals, and then
he had a lead block that wasn't even needed.
Faola he chipped the guy at the very end of the play, like at the 10-yard line.
Lex was already gone, yeah.
And Lex was like 10 yards ahead of him. So that was really cool. Let's talk about Armani Rogers. Assess his performance, 12 of 27, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was not reckless in this game.
No, but I think that's what you're going to get from Armani. That's what we've always gotten from Armani as long as he's been here, is the inability to really go through his progressions, hit open receivers, find open receivers for that matter, and pull the ball down too quickly. Again, only 12 completions,
John,
only 98
on the prediction
yards.
board, will Armani get more than 13 completions in a game?
Right. And
he hovers right at that number.
And it's going to have to be his receivers torching the secondary.
Tonight he will.
Because, again, as Matt said, and I completely agree with him, Armani does not go through his progressions quickly enough. And USC is USC, a very strong team on both sides of the ball, so I get that part. But you see how long he takes, and he holds the ball too long in instances where he does want to pass. So either he pulls it down too quickly or he holds on to it too long. I think 5 sacks, which, again, big challenge. They've got to improve on that moving forward.
Way too willing to just take off when there's any kind of pressure whatsoever. He needs to learn how to step up into the pocket.
But he ran out of bounds.
That's fine, but it's good that he's doing things like running out of bounds or not turning the ball over. But
he threw the ball away.
He
which
needs
is
to be
really
a better
smart.
quarterback, not just be a safe guy that doesn't take big hits. That he needs to be a better quarterback throwing the ball. The other stuff is all well and fine if you can do the other things great, like throw the ball, go through your progressions.
Right.
12 completions is not going to get it done as a quarterback of this team.
UNLV's defense appears to be much better, right? So some of the players, I think, they kept the defense fresh. Jameer Alty told us a couple of weeks ago that the team was playing too many snaps on the field, 60 to 70 plus snaps per game. Coach Sanchez said after the game, 40 to 50 was about the norm, particularly for the defensive line. So they've got a good rotation now. The corners, oh my goodness, did they play phenomenally for UNLV? You talk about leaving players on an island. We talked to Jaquez Khalili a couple of weeks ago, too, and Jaquez was like, yeah, we really, step it up. And him and Jericho Flowers, man, did they do a good job. Flowers got dinged. He got, caught on one play, but there was no help over the top.
Right, and that was the one thing, right? The deep ball really is what if you go down to one thing in that game against USC, they got torched on the deep ball in the second half, and hopefully they've corrected it. Hopefully it's not a fatigue thing, but it's a scheme thing. Hopefully it's just they call the wrong defenses in those plays. After the game Saturday, we asked Tony about that. Clearly, he said he had some things to go back and look at. He couldn't tell if it was scheme or not at that point, but they've got to lock that up quickly.
The UNLV linebackers, Matt, the linebackers are definitely they're in a better position now to make plays because they're moving. They were just standing there.
You're seeing guys fly to the ball now. That was my biggest takeaway from the defense is there were always 3 or 4 defenders around the ball carrier, around the receiver, making tackles. It wasn't a bunch of one-on-one situations. You didn't have guys left on an island that were getting shook out of their cleats. You saw guys fly into the ball, and that's what you want out of an aggressive style defense. You're going to get beat in that style of defense from time to time, but the defense did play better. Overall, I don't know if, granted, UNLV I think is improved. You could see it on the field. They're an improved team from last year. I still have yet to see if that improvement is going to be good enough to carry them to 6+ wins and a bowl appearance.
I think they'll get challenged a little bit tonight. Dana Dimmel is the former Wyoming coach. He's a pretty good coach, particularly on the defensive side. And last week, the Miners gave up 318 yards to NAU. Yes, it was NAU, but only one of those plays was a big one, 84 yards. So you take away that quick strike, and the Miners played pretty well defensively. I did the last game. Gosh, I feel like this was yesterday. 1992 was the last game. It was at El Paso, and all I remember was how bad the turf was on the field at the old Sun Bowl. And they had this huge crown in the middle of the field. to where if you're standing on the sideline, it looked like Mount Everest, like a mountain.
Yeah, that's how Sam Boyd used to be.
Yeah. I played on that field when it was like that back in high school.
It just hurt my knees just walking on it. But
it was bad.
They've got
That's
They've got a good quarterback, a junior by the name of Kai Loxley. His dad is Alabama's offensive coordinator, and here's a guy. He's mobile. He's a dual threat quarterback. Again, UNLV cannot break contain. They have to contain the quarterback first and foremost.
Well, last season going against Howard.
Yeah, because the linebackers had their feet. They had their feet cemented to the ground.
Favorite, they had a dual threat quarterback absolutely eat them alive.
It will not happen in the same manner because
let's hope not.
Your linebackers were set at 7-yard depth, and they were told just to stay there, read and react. And now you have the linebackers moving up, and they're going to attack night and day. The players really like this system, and they've really bought into it now.
Tony, you're getting me nervous about tonight's game, honestly, talking about the mobile quarterback and UTEP. I mean, we know from last year, as Maddie said, that's what UNLV struggled with last year. I look back a couple years ago, Northern Colorado, right? And this was the Bobby Houck era, so this was a minute ago. But it was like a 13-12 game. I mean, it's just until they prove otherwise, as Matt keeps saying, and I agree with him.
Prove me wrong, Rebels.
Prove otherwise.
Please.
This is a scary spot, to be honest with you. Like I said, I think UNLV wins, but this could be a closer game than what
especially
a lot of people
think. UTEP, like Tony mentioned, losing to NAU last week. You know that they're hurt, they're reeling, they're feeling like their pride has been beaten down a little bit. They're going to come out up for this game, I think, going against the UNLV team that showed well against USC.
And a win is big here, right? You beat UTEP, you're 1-1. You got Prairie View A&M. You have Arkansas State coming in, potentially 3-1. New Mexico, potentially 4-1. This football team could be.
Those potentials scare me,
3-2. 3-2. Coming up next on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show, we have UNLV Rebels senior right tackle Nate Jacobson. He'll join us when we return on the big show right here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m. Don't go away.
The only way to take Sports Adrenaline with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Nate Jacobson, UNLV starting right tackle, joins us right now on CBS Sports Radio 1140 AM on the Sports Adrenaline Show. So, Nate, first of all, let's go back to the USC game. Talk about the offensive line. How did the line grade out? And then also, how do you feel about your own individual performance?
I think we graded out pretty well. I feel like in the first half we did better than we did in the second half, definitely. In the third quarter we got a little sloppy, and we kind of pissed away some opportunities that we had. Personally, I feel like I did. It's kind of it filled in that same line. The first half I did well. That third quarter I did a little sloppy. I kind of pissed away that opportunity we had where Armani ran into field goal range. I had that holding call, and so it brought us back, and that was really a big opportunity that I messed up. But otherwise, we graded out decently. I mean, they're tough up front. It's good defense, but you know, a lot of times with that. The mistakes that we made, the sacks that we given up, they were mental errors. It wasn't us just getting outright beat, and so that's just stuff we need to work on and practice through and meet with. You know.
How aggressive was USC's defense and the defensive line?
They actually weren't as aggressive as we first imagined. We prepped for every single blitz that we had seen from all last year, and in the first half we didn't really see any of those. They ran a lot of base defense. Yeah, the DNs, they were good with their hands. They were good, aggressive off the ball, a good pop with them. But, yeah, they're about what we expected from them.
It's a difficult scheme, I have to imagine, to face a 2-4-5. It's the only time this season I'm sure that you'll see that type of defensive scheme. So how did you figure out who to block?
I mean, we repped it every day. Every single day we were, in between team periods, in between everything, we repped every single blitz. I mean, to exhaustion, I mean, we saw everything. I don't know. We looked at it more as like a four-man front instead of just like a 2-4-5. I know you guys call it like that, but we saw it more as a four-man front. Right. But yeah, and they had the mug linebackers up a lot, but they didn't really do that to us that much. Mm-hmm. We expected it to be a lot more, but they didn't do it to us much.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of it. I did see it when you had that great seal block on Hunter Nichols, and you sprung Lexington Thomas. Big time block. Explain what happened on that play, because I saw some slide blocking. And it was a zone block, and then you just had Nichols. You seal that corner, and you just need a little bit of daylight for Lex Lightning.
Yeah, well, we ran it was a fake reverse, and if you actually listen on there, you can hear us yelling reverse. And so I swear you could see it.
So they even knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm. We practiced it after about 2-3 steps for the offensive linemen. We all yell reverse, and you hear it on TV. My mom sent a recording of it, and you can see when we say all reverse, you see all 11 guys take a couple steps back, and then we sealed them up, and it was gone.
Yeah. How does it feel coming off of this loss?
Obviously it sucks to lose. We really thought we had a shot in that game. In the third quarter, we just kind of couldn't put anything together, and we missed out on a lot of opportunities that we had, And then in the fourth quarter, they ran away with it. And to beat teams like that that are more talented than us, obviously, you have to be perfect, and you have to take advantage of all those opportunities you get, and you can't piss away any of them, And so we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and we had an opportunity to win that game, we had an opportunity to stay in it, and we didn't.
Nate Jacobson is our guest here on the Sports Adrenaline Show, and you guys call the offensive line, you call yourselves the Orcas. So where did that name come from?
He started, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago with Will Kreitler. He's a GA now, but he was a starting center for us a couple years back. Mm-hmm. And Orcas, I know it kind of sounds funny, right? It's Orcas, it's a bunch of whales, right? A bunch of fat kids. But, it comes down to it that Orcas, they work as a pod. And so they work in small groups, 5 to 7 guys, a certain amount. And they work together as a unit to accomplish a mission, right? I mean, we saw this video of there's a seal sitting on an iceberg, and all these whales were coming up, and they were pushing them off. They were creating a wave. So this little seal would have to come off, and then the other one grabbed him and ate him. And they're actually one of the only animals in the wild that are known to kill just for the fun of it.
So was that going through your mind on that reverse play to Lex?
Yeah, we all had to work together as a unit, and we had to bring together because, if one guy messes up and 4 guys do their job, the O-line failed. So, we're a unit. We're always together. We're a family.
Now, you talked a little bit about Will Kreitler, and now he's a GA. What's it like to have him out there now, as a coach?
It's great to have him out there. He's a really smart kid. And he's a really, I look up to him as a brother. You know, he's the one that helped recruited me to come here. We were on the visit together when I was still in high school. And, you know, he's just a great brain to have. He knows all the kids really well, so he's a good mediator in between some of the coaches and the kids sometimes, you know. And, I mean, he's just a great guy to have. I love him.
What happens on a football recruiting visit to UNLV?
Well, you know, they take us to the Strip, right? You know, because they try to sell the Strip. Sanchez loves Vegas. And, I mean, we got to come and we see the facilities and everything. And it's all about what the future holds for us, right? And so, you know, building the building, it's all that stuff. It's all about all that.
Nate Jacobson is with us. And how do you block and execute for RPOs when you have guys that freelance all the time, right? You've got Armani Rogers, you've got Lexington Thomas. What's it like blocking for them?
I mean, you just got to trust them. You know, you got to trust the play. You got to trust your rules that you have on each play. And you just got to execute it, you know.
You also have a new offensive line coach this season, and it's Garen Justice. Tell us about what you've learned from him.
Well, Garen Justice is a great coach that we have from, he came from FAU.
Yeah.
He played tackle in college, and so he's really helped our tackles, myself included, really like work on perfecting our tackle pass sets. You know, a lot of times we were opening our hip, giving a short edge, or getting beaten underneath last year, and it really hurt us in a lot of big games. And so this year, I mean, you saw it against USC, the tackles were setting way better than they have in the whole couple years past. And I think he's really helped us with simplifying things, you know, getting us out there, just getting us to go play, and fundamentals, bring everything back to the fundamentals. I mean, you come out here, we're the first ones on the field every day, and we're working steps 20 minutes before practice even starts, every day.
Give us a little bit of a scouting report for UTEP, their defense. Yeah.
They run kind of a funky defense against
Northern Arizona.
Yeah, Northern Arizona. They ran a 3-2 front, which was kind of strange, you know, but, you know, so we're prepping for if they run the 3-2, if they're prepping to run the 4-3. I mean, we'll be prepared for anything that they come out with us. If we execute our job and we do our job, we follow our rules and don't have any wide open blocks, I think we should have a fun day on Saturday.
Nate Jacobson is our guest, and Nate, Kendall Keys in that USC game catches the touchdown pass. How emotional was it for you and for the team? He's had a really rough go of things with the loss of his brother.
I mean, that was a great moment to see. You know, you see him and he scores that touchdown. The guy right on TV, he's looking up, with his arms up. I mean, that was a huge moment.
I just got chills, you know, thinking about it.
I did too. I mean, I knew Kenny. I didn't know him super well, but I knew him. I played with him. He was the nicest kid, man. And so is Kendall. Kendall's a great kid. And I mean, for him fighting through this, I mean, I think he's missed 2 days of practice this entire camp. And I mean, that's crazy to me. I couldn't imagine that. But I mean, he comes out every day. He works his ass off. And I mean, it shows. It showed on Saturday. He went and scored that touchdown.
Yeah. The offensive line has a lot of depth now. So you have players behind you, not just one player backing up every position. Right. And then also, you know, we've noticed, and I think one of the themes of this team has been the maturation. You guys have really matured.
Yeah, I think we have. It's created a more sense of calmness, you know, on the sideline. Now everybody's all frantic and, you know, losing their head in those big games. Like you said at USC, you know, we were a lot more calm. I know we started right at the very beginning of the game, very first play, we fumbled the ball, right? Mm-hmm. And we came right back from that. You know, we came off the sideline, no one was screaming and yelling, no one was losing their head. We just kind of, you know, it was just a freak thing, and let's come back from this, let's go back, and let's go and try to win this game.
What did Lex say to the offensive line, or to the offense?
I mean, he just came up, said it's on me, you know, it's apologized, said it's my fault, we're going to get him next time, and I mean, that's it, you know, move on from it, flush that.
Now, you started every game, you know, last season, the season before, in 16, you did not allow a sack. How does that happen? I mean, you have to have some luck, but you're also very skilled, obviously, at your position.
Yeah, I think I've given up about, I think it's 4 career sacks. 2 my freshman year and then 2 last year. And so, I mean, part of that is sophomore season, I didn't get many sacks. We didn't really pass the ball that much. You know, I don't want to give myself too much credit.
You like running plays?
Yeah, well, yeah, we ran the ball a lot. And because I mean, when you have X and Lex and you have all these backs, you know, you run the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a mindset to not lose, you know. Wearing on my shirt, expect to win every day. Yeah. And I hope to continue that the rest of the season. Not give up a sack.
How much have you seen in the growth of Armani Rogers?
A lot of growth. He's making checks. He's making his reads really well. He's still trying to get that touch on that ball perfectly. But if he gets that down, I mean, he's going to be one hell of a stud.
Yeah, Coach Sanchez said that he managed the game very well.
Yeah, he did. He keeps a good level head. He's very calm. He's a calm presence, on the field for us. And he's a stud, man.
Run blocking, UNLV has one of the top 20 rushing teams in college football coming from a season ago. And Saturday, again, will be your 27th start. And talk about run blocking and what it takes, to sustain blocks.
Well, it starts with your steps. Well, actually, before that, even, it starts with your assignment. So you have to know your assignment really well. You have to know it ins and outs. You can't just know your own assignment. You have to know the entire scheme of all 5 guys. Right. So you can work together as a unit. You can communicate well. And then it starts with your steps. You have to step every play. You have to have just, perfect steps. Second step's got to get down real quick. Your hand placement. And then on top of that, it's got to be mentality. You got to be able to finish every play. You have to be able to want it. You got to be able to want to take people down to the ground.
What is it like to lose a player on the offensive line? Zach Singer is going to be out of action. He's got, I think, an ankle injury for this Saturday's game. What's it like to play with that team, knowing that there's, one player missing?
Right. Well, he's a really good guy to have because Sid, our starting center, is his first year playing Division I football. Yeah. And so Singer was a really good guy to have there because he helped him make the right calls. He helped him make the right assignments. And Singer's a really smart guy with football. And so having him go down, it'll probably take away from Sid, honestly, is the most. And but we got Jaron coming in, Jaron Caldwell, number 75. He's coming in. He's going to be starting that left guard. And he started every game, or no, he started like 5 games until he hurt his toe last year. And he started as a true freshman. So, we got somebody that's coming in. He's got a lot of experience. He's a good kid. He's a really good baller. So we feel good with it.
Excited to be playing at home?
Yeah, it's going to be fun to open up Sam Boyd,
Thanks so much. Nate Jacobson has been our guest. We'll return with more. I'm Tony Cordasco, back with the team right after this. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM. Stay tuned.
In life, just like in football.
Sports Radio. We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Reach out to us. Tweet at Adrenaline LV. Find us on Facebook, Sports Adrenaline LV, or call us now at 702-889-5978. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
And welcome back. Tony Cardasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, Haley Brooks with the day off. And coming up in our second hour, Larry Brown, the county commissioner, on the parking plan for the new Raiders Stadium, as well as transportation issues we'll be discussing on how we're going to get to the stadium and back. And Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking will be with us to talk about the NFL Sunday in Week 1. Brian Campbell now joining us from CBS Sports. He's the combat sports writer. And tonight we've got an intriguing matchup as we have number 6 ranked Danny Swift against number 4 Showtime Porter. Welcome to the show, Brian. And even on paper, right, when I look at Garcia and Porter, Garcia and Porter are both 30 years old, like 1 inch advantage in height for Garcia, and they have about the same reach. I mean, this looks like a dead even match. And these two fighters, I think it's going to be the speed, perhaps, of Porter against the toughness of Garcia. How do you see it unfolding?
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I mean, when you get a 50-50 fight among elite talents, like you mentioned, two guys right in the middle of their prime, two former champions, that's about as good as it gets, right? But when you factor in their styles and how styles always make fights, and styles have the, let's say, potential to really make this a fan-friendly, all-action fight between true hungry guys. You look at Danny Garcia, one of the toughest fighters in this welterweight money division, but also one of the best counter-punchers. He doesn't have great foot speed. He relies on countering, he relies on technique, and he relies on what up to this point has been an incredible backbone, never been down as a professional. He digs in and he rises to the occasion, and he's going to really need all of that when you consider Sean Porter's style. Look, I talked to a lot of fighters. I talked to Andre Berto, who lost to Sean Porter last year. He says that's a dirty fighter who puts his head down, who leads with his elbows and forearms. I said, Sean, are you a dirty fighter? He said, my style only works in a few cities and states and jurisdictions. But he said, luckily, Brooklyn is one of them on Saturday night. Now, that's a fun way of saying yes. He toes the line of what's legal, but what that is going to make is combustibility in the center of that ring. And as much as we like Porter's aggression, he's going to have to take some big shots from Garcia to have a chance of becoming the first to really wilt Danny and really make him bend.
Hey, Brian, Matt Gutierrez here. Thanks for joining us. It's funny you mentioned Brooklyn. This is kind of a hometown feel for both of these guys. Garcia's fought there, 2 out of his last 3 or 4 fights, and Porter now this will be his 5th fight in a row, I believe, at Barclays Center. What do you expect the crowd to be like there in Brooklyn? Who are they going to back in this fight? I mean, you've got 2 of the top welterweights. I think the welterweight division is as good as it's been since the late 90s and early 2000s when you had guys like Mosley and Trinidad and De La Hoya running things there. Who do you think they're going to get behind?
You know, that is an apt description there in terms of the depth right now of stars. And I think Danny Garcia, who is from Philadelphia, not too far from Brooklyn, will likely get the, let's say, hometown cheers. But you mentioned that both of these guys have made Barclays a home. Hey, boxing has really made Barclays a home since 2012 in October when Danny Garcia headlined the first card there against Eric Morales in the rematch. Garcia has proven he can pack that arena. He can get it hopping when he comes out with his purge mask. I think you're going to see a pro Danny Garcia crowd, but you're also going to see an educated crowd. Brooklyn is on the rise. It's really left the old guard, Madison Square Garden in Manhattan, as the go-to place for boxing on the East Coast. And PBC Premier Boxing Champions just signed an exclusive deal for the next few years. All of their big fights will be there. Fans will cheer for Danny, but even more, they'll cheer for action. And there's a great hope that we get that.
Hey, Brian, John Castanino here again. Thanks for coming on. My question is just about the trash talk between these two. Doesn't seem like there's been much, and I guess give us some perspective here. Boxing doesn't get it right very often, right? You look at Mayweather, McGregor, right? Those two had to go on a world tour and talk smack. That was a spectacle, not a fight. But this is going to be truly a fight. Give us some context here on how this matchup really, true boxing fans are going to love it, and this could be a matchup that really brings more people into the sport, right?
Yeah, it certainly can from the entertainment standpoint, and that it's a legitimate matchup with something at stake. That WBC welterweight championship, and of the 4 recognized belts, the green WBC belt is the sexiest. It's the one most people consider to be the most elite. Now, let's keep in mind, both of these guys lost to Keith Thurman, who holds the WBA title. They lost within the last 2 years in close and really fun fights. Thurman's been injured. He's been inactive. He hasn't fought since edging Danny Garcia in March of 2017, so his belt became vacant when they stripped him. You got 2 guys trying to get back into that title picture to prove they belong, and we've had a little bit of bad blood in the lead-in, and it goes back to when Danny Garcia defeated Brandon Rios earlier this year in Las Vegas. Star Porter crashed the post-fight interview, got it from Showtime's Jim Gray, jumped in there and said, I want Danny Garcia next, and in this sport, combat sports in general, trash talk can be a true way to get things done. It's a true currency in combat sports. Sean interrupted Danny's moment, and now he's in a big fight. And it's not just a title at stake, guys. It's not just 2 guys that want to go back in there one day against Keith Thurman and prove they're the best welterweight. We already see it lined up that the winner of this fight in 2019 is going to face current unbeaten IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr., who has really made a leap in the last few years to become one of the pound-for-pound best in the whole sport. So for a sport that doesn't always get it right, doesn't always make the fans that fight, the fights that fans most want to see, at the very least right now, most of the welterweights outside of Terrence Crawford that are elite are under that PBC Showtime banner. We could see some fun fights over the next year, and it all starts tonight.
Brian Campbell is with us, CBS Sports combat sports writer. I want to shift gears and talk about Canelo versus Triple G. And here in Las Vegas, I'm not really feeling the hype for this fight.
Well, you got 2 guys that don't talk a lot. 2 guys that can't necessarily sell the fight on their own. Although to give Gennady Golovkin credit, who since his American debut in 2012 has been this smiley-faced character, almost like this guy who butchers English, and we think it's cute. He's been as mad and angry as he's ever been, and rightfully so. If there's a little bit of lack of buzz, it's just that these are 2 guys who have largely remained quiet. They've done some media, but they didn't do a large, giant international tour to drum up interest. In some ways, the fight sells itself, where people just can't wait for September 15th to get there fast enough. So many compelling storylines from the standpoint of controversy. The first time around, Alvarez's failed drug test, which canceled the original date in May for this rematch. I agree. This hasn't been the most exciting the last couple of weeks or months. But when that bell rings, you really have potential for a pay-per-view fight to actually deliver. This might be one of the bigger ones. With their fight last September really was strong from an action and entertainment standpoint. And I think, guys, the rematch is going to be even more fun because the pressure's on Gennady Golovkin right now. We think the pressure's on Canelo, right? Coming off of that drug test to redeem his name? No. Canelo's the A-side. He's the golden boy, if you will. The pressure is on Golovkin to make sure he doesn't get screwed again, to take it out of the judge's hands. If there's one bit of info to get you fired up there, it's that Gennady's going to need a knockout here to really make this happen. And I think he's angry enough to go after that at age 36.
Thanks.
I'm fired up right now, guys. I'm ready to pay that money right now. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate it. We're up against the break. Brian Campbell, CBS Sports, and we're looking for a trilogy. And that
definitely.
That series
has to be.
Coming up, hour 2, you're listening to the Sports Adrenaline Show right here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
Final Las Vegas is Saturday.
We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Interviews, insights, and your input are all part of Sports Adrenaline. Here are your hosts, Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
Hour number 2, Joe D'Amico's football forecast will be coming your way at 10 a.m. this morning. And another programming note, then we will have Ion College football at 11. This hour, Larry Brown, County Commissioner, Robert Walker of U.S. Bookmaking. And so Landry Locker, right, from our sister station, Entercom Radio in Houston, Sports Radio 610 AM, is here in Las Vegas, right? So, Landry, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
You're
Never
awake?
A bad day in Vegas.
That's right. So you're vacationing, sort of, here in Vegas, and you're awake at this early hour. So we didn't know if we would get you or not. So you're the host of EP and the Loop on that show. And so, Landry, we understand that you guys collected some money from listeners and came to Las Vegas to make a wager on your hometown Texans against the Patriots. How much money did you raise?
We got up to about $8K. So we got up to there, and I had to kind of cut it off because I don't like carrying that much money on me. So we could have raised a lot more, but we had to stop because it kind of took on a life of itself.
He could have got a nice comp. You passed 10K. I think that's like the threshold.
A couple of drink tickets for $8,000. What'd you get?
Yeah. That was the purpose. That was the purpose, was to try to get some drink tickets. So yeah, I got hooked up nicely. I'll just put it that way.
So did you bring like the old briefcase? Like, this is the way we used to do it here in Vegas. How do you come up with all this loot? You just put it in, stuffed your pockets? What did you do?
Just put it in an envelope. It was fine. Just put it in the backpack, put it in an envelope, and just roll in and make the bet. Felt like a man with a purpose.
What are you going to do with the winnings? Is this
just give them right back? I mean, it's going right back. This game. The anticipation of this game is second to none. Just because last season you had Deshaun Watson for just about a little less than half the season, and then he goes down. There's just a lot of excitement in Houston. Like the reason for the bet, there's just anticipation for this season. It's been a long time, so the money's going to go right back. But the money is just a representation of how excited people are for this Texans season.
Did you get a good number on the money line? So you bet money line, right?
Yes.
What was it?
It's about 220. It's 225. So 2 to 1, 2.2 to 1 odds.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I just want to know if you shifted the line. I mean, a bet that wager. Do you know if they told you whether or not the number moved after you put that bet down?
No, they didn't. They didn't tell me that. I haven't even looked this morning.
Yeah, you might be the baller that changed the line and changed the numbers on the line, because that's typical after a big bet.
Your team is
That'd
pretty
be awesome.
Yeah, your team's healthy now. So you've got Jadeveon Clowney is finally healthy, and J.J. Watt is healthy, and now Deshaun Watson. So I could understand the optimism for you guys.
Well, I mean, last year they lost to him by 3 points, and in that game, the guy who killed the Texans was Brandon Cooks. The Patriots traded Brandon Cooks. Edelman's out, and the Texans are healthy. So I mean, this isn't like Deshaun Watson going into New England for the first time. He actually played just as well as Tom Brady did last year, and they were right in the same situation. Take into account the Patriots only have 6 healthy O-linemen. They don't have a vertical threat, like I said, with Cooks, and they got their butt kicked last year in the opening week against the Chiefs. If you ever beat the Patriots, it's always early, and the Texans had actually played them pretty tough going back to last year. So it's not just like, homer Texan bet. It just seems like it's a good matchup for the Texans, and it's a good value.
Where did you make this bet? Where'd you make it?
I divided it at a couple casinos. I had to split it in half.
Why?
That's how you know you're a
they
big
wouldn't
roller.
take wouldn't take
Could
the
be
one
tax
big bet.
reasons as well. That could be tax reasons.
Yeah. So you're staying here. You're watching the game, right? And then you're going to bring the money, hopefully back to Texas. And then I'm sure that you charted all the listeners and how much money they gave you, and now you have to pay them out.
Yeah, that'll probably be tomorrow after the show. Tomorrow after the show, I'll have to divide it out and get it to them. But just hopefully I have to worry about that. But yeah, I have them all listed, and they'll be paid.
Thanks so much for joining us, Landry Locker from our Entercom sister station,
Appreciate
Sports
it.
Radio 610 AM in Houston. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, that's interesting. You shift the line in Vegas. That's what you do. I loved how he went to different books, though. He was probably being extra cautious, right? I mean, there could be some legal implications, for sure, some tax implications.
Right. It's been some pretty big news, though, right, down in Houston this week about this big bet. And just to get, so we're going to collect money from our listeners, just for us.
Okay.
But we're not going to bet it. We're just going to collect money.
Our listeners are collecting money from the lights. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're collecting it from the lights. Top stories today centering around whether the Raiders will move to Las Vegas sooner than 2020 as the city of Oakland prepares to slap that antitrust lawsuit on the team and the NFL. UNLV football home opener tonight, Sam Boyd Stadium, 6 p.m. versus UTEP. And, guys, the rookie face-off starting today with the Golden Knights, and 5 other rookie teams are also participating.
Can't wait. I think they're sellout. There's a waiting list, I think, to get in some of these rookie games. It's going to be a great crowd. I haven't seen the new look of City National yet, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm probably going to make it out to Sunday's game.
It feels like a different arena now.
Yeah.
It feels like a different rink when you walk in there.
Yeah.
It just they put so much into that now to give it, I think, more than anything, just that nice fan-friendly feel.
There's been no drop in enthusiasm right
now.
And
Tony seems to think that nobody cares about hockey now going into the season, but it's still preseason. Everybody's ready for football. Everybody's on that train right now. But once these guys get on the ice, everybody in Vegas is going to jump right back in.
Prediction board. I should put up there, Matt will be salty. He came in like extra salty today.
Well, those are facts, just like you would ignore anything that Matt and I say. So
how is it a prediction if it happened in the past?
Yeah.
Happens every week. But
look
you're
up
extra
the word
salty.
prediction.
I'm gonna next week. I'm gonna bring in the free Nate Schmidt shirt. Nobody can get on me for that.
No.
Right? I can wear that.
Oh wait. So you're
is
taking
it
some
in
heat
jet
on
screen?
Facebook. You're taking heat on Facebook today?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
What happened? What were they saying?
I mean, come on. Vegas is a melting pot of sports fans.
But
We
what
already
are they
know this.
saying on Facebook
Somebody's saying I
about
can't
you?
wear a Cubs hat with a Raiders shirt.
Well,
I am
does
a Cubs
look
fan,
ridiculous.
and I'm a Raiders fan. There you go.
I mean, at
where
least-
are the fashion police?
At least
when
the
you
hat's
Colors
gray
match,
and black,
right?
but
Colors match.
So today's schedule at
Red
City
Blue, though.
National Arena, you have Arizona against San Jose at 3, followed by the Kings and Ducks. The Golden Knights hit the ice tonight at 7 against Colorado. And the rookie faceoff goes through Tuesday with an off day on Monday. And I think it's really a good way to evaluate this young talent rather than them just skating against each other, right?
Yep.
more attended game. The rookie game tonight or UNLV football?
Come on.
The waiting line might be a little longer.
Is that not viable? Come on.
The line to get into City National might be longer. No, Vegas Golden Knights are looking for a defenseman the first 20 games of the season. So we're going to find out pretty quickly. Is it White Cloud? Is it Brandstrom? Is it Haig? Right? And who's the other guy in the mix?
Shea Theodore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sure.
well, yeah.
Is he playing in the rookie game? Is he going to play
Is
at
he
all?
playing at all? Exactly.
So the Golden Knights, right? So they are prepared in case you missed that story. It happened after we got off the air last week. So they're going to start the season without the services of Nate Schmidt. He's been hit with that 20-game suspension. The NHL hit him with a suspension for violation of the league's policies on performance-enhancing drugs. And so he said that there was a slight trace of a banned substance found, about 7 billionths of a milligram, in which Schmidt obviously called it, and rightfully so. He called it, microscopic. It was really nothing. He said he knows everything he puts in his body. The Golden Knights also reacting, which I thought was, different. You never see a team get a player's back the way they did, and they said that they strongly disagree with the league's decision. And I say I strongly disagree with the return of the fanboys. The fanboys in the press box.
There has to be a tolerance level now when you talk about substances or banned substances and supplements. When you talk about something that size, I mean, you take a sample of Lake Mead and you're likely to find, a banned substance or something in there to that degree.
You find a
right?
lot more in Lake Mead than
right.
a banned substance.
Exactly right. It's exactly right. Perchlorate, the freaking rocket fuel, is in Lake Mead, right? At a certain amount. There's got to be some leeway here to where if you fall under a threshold, and I know other sports do this, right? Especially in boxing, if your testosterone level goes below a certain threshold, you're okay. And a lot of fighters try to be right on that borderline if they are on something. But there's got to be some sort of, not zero tolerance, but again,
it needs to become a
there's
case
no
by
impact,
case
yeah.
basis as opposed to this
Right.
just blanket rule out there, because every situation is different. whether it's the substance that was found, the amount that was found, things like that. We don't know what it is because the NHL is so secretive about everything.
It's tainted meat.
He's not in Mexico, man. It's in Canelo.
Okay. Our show is brought to you by The Pint on Charleston and Wallapai, and also by Michael Westra Allstate, 702-435-4211. Let's do something. You want to give away those tickets? What do we have?
Well, I think we should.
Okay.
We got 2 tickets to Sunday's race, the South Point 400, and these tickets, I don't know what they go for, $100 a pop, something like that. They're not cheap. First race of the NASCAR playoffs, the Monster.
And that'll be a week from tomorrow.
Yep.
Monster Energy Cup.
South Point 400. Should it be the 400th caller? I don't know if we need to go that high. South
Let's
Point
go
400.
the 4th. Why don't we just do the 4th?
4th caller?
Yeah.
Right.
We're not that popular yet. So the 4th caller
we'd be waiting a long
in,
time for number 400.
Yep, 702-889-5978. If you're caller number 4, you will win the 2 tickets to next week's NASCAR Cup race going on at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Coming up on the show as well, we have Larry Brown, the county commissioner. He'll be coming our way live next. And then later on, Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking. Once again, 889-5978. Thank everyone for tuning in this morning, and we're back with more right after this.
Your input is always welcome at 702-889-5978. You're listening to Sports Adrenaline with Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks.
Hey, folks, the NFL season is here, and you know how much Las Vegas hearts football. I don't say the L word, man. I'm not that sensitive. I'm not like Colton Underwood.
Hey, we gave away the NASCAR tickets already. So
Okay.
Thanks for you guys calling in, but they're gone. Congrats to our winner.
So Las Vegas hearts football, CBS Sports Radio 1140 has you covered. Tune in Sunday for Las Vegas's only all Raiders talk show, Silver and Black Today. That will be on the air tomorrow morning from
9 to
11, right? A
Starting an hour
time.
later tomorrow.
Right?
We'll go right into
but you
football.
don't sleep
man.
in.
I don't would sleep, man.
Yeah, you get an extra hour.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
still
at,
be up at the same time.
And then
it's not
at
going to matter.
4 p.m. tomorrow, close out your football Sunday with our new post-game show, the PG. Join myself, Scott Colbranson, for that. We'll recap the Raiders games and the hottest action around the NFL. And so we've got Silver and Black Today. We've got the PG on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m. So we gave away those tickets. So those are gone.
Michael
Thanks for the
Wynn
calls.
up in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, Wynn.
One of our steady listeners on the show.
Wow.
Big Jets fan.
Yes.
Big Winnipeg Jets
New
fan.
York
yeah.
Jets fan.
Not the Jeets. Not the Jeets. Winnipeg Jets.
So we've got Clark County Commissioner Larry Brown with us on the Sports Adrenaline Show. And Larry, sorry for breaking up your golf game today. So the commissioners approved the parking plan with the 4 off-site locations. Is this a work in progress now? Mark Badane said after the meeting that the Raiders could be working on the plan up until the very last moment when the stadium doors open. How are you today?
Very good, and good morning to you guys. Absolutely. You know, we weren't approving anything final. It was the agenda spoke to an update on the parking plan, and I agree wholeheartedly that what we approved last week or reviewed last week is going to continue to change, evolve as we approach game day.
Larry, Matt Gutierrez here. Thanks for joining us. One of the big question marks this whole time has been the Bally High site, and we heard them talk about it at the meeting, and Badane said that they've been trying for the last 7 or 8 months to get something done there. What is the problem with Bally High? Why has it been such a struggle to get that site on board?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is Mr. Walters and the Raiders couldn't agree on a purchase price, not only just taking over the property, but also converting the golf course into parking. So there was a financial end. And the federal government was involved in the negotiations because it was originally BLM land, and they still have control over it. Now, the BLM felt strongly, the feds felt strongly that there was money owed for past lease payments. So the county was going to get dragged into that. So it came down to just a numbers game, and it didn't pencil out.
Clark County Commissioner Larry Brown with us. Larry, John Castanino here. Thanks again. Good morning for coming on. Monorail, light rail, transportation in and out of the stadium. We know light rail might be a little bit of a ways off at this point, but what's the county working on to really make transportation in and out of the stadium as efficient as possible?
Well, there's a lot of infrastructure improvement that's been going on the last few years, not only along the I-15 corridor, but the Beltway, some of our major arterials over that side, Sunset, Windmill, a lot of improvements in and around that area. The interesting thing, and it's kind of a wild card, is this is the first stadium, and they brought it up at the meeting. This is the first NFL stadium that is being built in the TNC era, the Uber, the Lyft, the technology that's come about. And it's a real wild card because it's not going to be your traditional fan that either, jumps in their personal vehicle or grabs a cab. There's going to be a lot of innovation going into the whole transportation part of it. And not only with the taxis and the buses and the charter buses and the Lyft and the Uber, and that came out. That's why the traditional parking lot is not as big of a concern as it was in the past.
Sure. How critical do you think the monorail is in this piece? Because that seems pretty appealing to a lot of locals.
Absolutely. If they can get that final connection from MGM up to the Mandalay, that would be a tremendous benefit, but not critically important. There's a lot of things that will literally evolve and be built as the stadium opens, because not only the Raiders, but all these major events that are going to take place there'll be some lessons learned. There'll be other spots, other areas identified throughout the valley. Take, for instance, with the Golden Knights, the RTC, the Regional Transportation Commission, partnered with the Golden Knights to do some express buses to the games. Never even considered in the past. That component is going to be introduced with the Raiders. And that, again, it's not like one solution is going to fix it. It's going to be a nice puzzle of transportation opportunities.
So Larry Brown, the chairman of the RTC, the county commissioner, is with us. And so this parking plan that's already in place, and of course they will build on it. I saw UNLV tweet out that this will encompass all events at the new Las Vegas Stadium.
What was that? I didn't.
So the parking areas that have been identified, these will be the parking areas for all events, right? That are going to be held at the stadium.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's what UNLV had tweeted out. And how do they handle it in other cities that you've visited, other stadiums, the parking?
Well, we did. I born and raised in the Boston area. The Patriots play up in Foxborough, and that's a one-way in, one-way out. That's Route 1, and so they have a very, very large on-site parking. But it's a cluster during game day, and that's expected. That just happens. We also visited Minneapolis, their new stadium, Atlanta, their new stadium, and there was literally minimal parking. Probably even less than we have on site. And what they talked about is the fans, those that are attending these events at these major facilities, they find a spot, whether it's provided by, in our case, the Raiders, or what they call the rogue spots, which is, that strip mall or that big house that's only about 2 miles from the stadium that lets people park in their front yards for $20. And that is where I think I have a great comfort level with their parking plan, because they talk certainly about the experience of tailgating. Well, hey, this is Vegas, guys. We're going to take the term tailgating to a whole new level. They talk about the Raiders experience. Well, we're going to have a Vegas experience where certainly on site, near the site, in their 4 parking lots, most of the casinos will have their own inside tailgate party. The taverns around town, the neighborhood casinos. I envision the impact, the non-site impact the Raiders will have on our economy throughout the valley is just going to be phenomenal. We'll create our own tailgating experience here.
Larry, we're going to stay with new stadiums in town, but shift gears a little bit. You played a couple years with the Las Vegas Stars. Back in the early 80s, Stars leaving, or now the 51s leaving Cashman Field, moving to downtown Summerlin, new ballpark there. How do you feel about them leaving Cashman Field, and what memories do you have of playing there back when it was, the shiny new stadium in town?
No, of course. I think Springsteen wrote a song about the first 2 years in Vegas. I think it was called Glory Days.
Yeah, it was.
Some good teams, man.
Exciting. Cashman literally was the jewel of the Pacific Coast League in 1983 when it opened. But it just wore out. It was old. It was antiquated. There were minimal fan amenities. And moving into a new facility. And over the last 15, 20 years, minor league baseball facilities have become simply shrunk down major league facilities with all the fan amenities, with all the wide concourses and the kids' play areas. And this facility up in downtown Summerlin, the Las Vegas ballpark, is going to literally, when we open the doors, will be the finest minor league facility in this country.
Larry, my dad got season tickets back in '83, year one. I want to say I remember watching you play. I was 4.5 years old. but I think I remember more just collecting the cards when I was a kid and seeing your name on there. But really, really neat to have the 51 stars, all that tradition, all that history.
The Aviators.
The Aviators, whatever they're going to become, stay in town and finally get rewarded with this nice ballpark.
Yeah, it is. And as much as the team and Donnie Logan and the Howard Hughes Corp deserve this, the people that deserve it most are the community, those fans that have come out for 36 years, and I say that sincerely. But for the fact that we had such a loyal fan base, professional baseball would have died out like the 20-plus other professional sports that have come and gone in this town. It had such a loyal fan base that that has carried over, and really, I'd say comfortably that we set the foundation for what we're seeing now as the city got into the population where we could attract the NBA and the NHL and the Raiders and maybe someday MLB and USL, and it's the stars /51 question mark. They're a fabric of this community.
Larry, one final question. We're up against it, but what are you hearing about the Raiders and a potential move to Las Vegas by 2019? Is this city equipped with transportation, et cetera, to handle such a move, regardless of if they were to come here, if they were to play at Sam Boyd? Someone mentioned the Speedway. Could we handle this?
The first thing you're going to hear is the naysayers jump in on the front end of the conversation saying it's impossible. But, hey, you guys have been around long enough. We do things not only differently here in Vegas, but we do it better than everybody. And if that option becomes available, if that's thrown at us in 2019, I will guarantee we'll meet the demand. We'll answer all the questions.
Thank you, Larry. We appreciate you joining us. Have a great day. Thank you once again. Larry Brown, Clark County Commissioner, Chairman of the RTC. When we return here on the show, we're going to be speaking with Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking. We'll talk about the kickoff to the new NFL season. Stay tuned to the Sports Adrenaline Show, CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
We're here with Chuck, founder.
The Dodgers take.
The only way to take Sports Adrenaline with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back to the Sports Adrenaline Show from the Dollar Loan Center, Don'tBeBroke.com studios. Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking is with us this morning as we return to the show. Robert, good morning. 27 penalties in Thursday's Eagles-Falcons game, many of the pre-snap variety. You know, I think we're going to see, we see this trend continue with the sloppy play because a lot of players sat out the entire preseason, and there's no way, I have to believe, that a team can find its rhythm early in the season. Do you feel that we're going to see several Week 1 games go under the total? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's a good question. I wasn't thinking about the total necessarily, but I mean, I clearly think there's going to be a push to go to 18 games and just 2 regular preseason games because it's gotten worse every year. Nobody wants to play. You can't have any injuries in preseason because it could actually ruin your season for the entire year. So I think I do think you saw sloppy play. I mean, there was exhibition games that were better than Thursday night game.
That's true.
Yeah, I said it just was really tough to watch. And every time I see a game like that, I always say the same thing. Thank goodness for sports betting because if you have a bet on it, all of a sudden you can tolerate some of that stuff. But if you had no bet on it, what are you watching for? I mean, unless you love one of those two teams, you got to walk away, right? So you might be right. I didn't think about it from a total standpoint. I just think about it from a game that lasts 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, and it takes forever. And if you love the referees, that's the only way you'll like those type of games.
Robert, thanks for coming on. John Castanino here. We're with Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking talking about Week 1. First Sunday of the NFL season. Robert, just big question here, but what trends are you seeing during Week 1? Who are you seeing? What the bettors like, or what the players like, what the Sharks like here?
Well, clearly they're opposed, right? And that's what you need to have. I mean, the worst mistake that a bookmaker can make is having the favorite too low because the public's on the favorite, and then if the pros are on the favorite too, you're in trouble. So right now the pros were on the Browns, but I don't know that we've gotten one public play on the Browns. So we're at 4.5 on the Steelers right now, and we're clearly going to need the Browns. So we're going to need the pros. And then I think the surprising games, in my mind are. The Bears getting a ton of support against the Packers. I mean, it's early in the year. There's a lot, and Chicago's a public team, generally speaking. But, usually we always need Green Bay. We'll probably still need the Bears on Sunday night, but at least right now, a ton of play there. And, in the game that you guys care about most probably is the everybody's on the Rams. I mean, the Rams at this point should be the Super Bowl favorites, the way they're betting them. They are not enamored with Gruden, at least early. Maybe it's a lot of the trades that they made and the problems that he's had in the off season. But it's been right now nothing but Rams.
Matt Gutierrez here, Robert. Thanks for joining us. I've been on the side of the Rams, just absolutely blowing the Raiders out of this game. I believe it opened at even, and it's been bet to 4-point favorite for the Rams. What do you guys want to see from this game? Do you want to see that number keep growing, or do you need it to go the other way at this point?
I think there's going to be a number where they come back. The pros will definitely come back on this game. The Raiders, home dog, even though it may not be their home for much longer, right? But usually in the first week, last year's stuff's forgotten. I think the Mac situation, the locker room situation, I think there's some issues here that because right now the public's on the Rams and the pros are on the Rams, and like I said, that's the problem that we have, and then it exacerbates it because it's a Monday night game, so you always have a huge risk and exposure on Monday night. So right now I'm at 4. We could easily go to 4.5. I mean, and probably it just stay there. But it's been sitting for 4 for a while. But every parlay is with the Rams. I mean, they're just not betting the Raiders at all. So I mean, if the Raiders revert back to a couple of years ago, then they have a good chance. But this Ram team's loaded. I mean, I love this Ram team myself. So they're fun to watch.
Robert Walker from U.S. Bookmaking is our guest. And when you look at you mentioned the Bears getting a lot of action. Is this the Khalil Mack factor for the Bears with his acquisition? Because from everything I've been hearing, he's going to be on essentially what they call a pitch count,
Green
right?
Bay always throttles the Bears. This is shocking to me.
John's
yeah,
offended.
Yeah, and I kind of liken the Bears how I thought the Raiders would be. You know, there's enthusiasm to start the season. You know, obviously this is a divisional rivalry game, and but I mean, yeah, I mean, just off the top of your head, you know, you think that the public's going to be all over the Packers. I mean, they're at home. I think the Packers have lost a little bit of luster the last couple of years. I mean, you know, besides Aaron Rodgers, they really don't have, you know, the marquee players. I mean, he's the franchise, and he's really the only player you know on that team now, and for the most part. So I think the Bears are, you know, you're thinking that maybe like the Browns, maybe it's you know they'll turn it around, and Trubisky's had a year under his belt, but yeah, I can't see it. I actually think I've said this a couple times. I think come Sunday night that Bear money starts to dissipate, and it's going to be nothing but Packers and over. But yeah, I think the Mac thing has something to do with it a little bit. But I just think there's some enthusiasm for every year. There's enthusiasm for certain teams, and you question why, and we may look back and say this was a bad play by the public.
Robert, I want to talk to you about, again, we checked in with you after the Supreme Court decision fell. Now checking in with you again, just nationally, the perception of sports betting and how it's growing. And also, I'd like you to touch on what you guys at U.S. Bookmaking are doing with your 16-cent lines, your minus $1.08 starting lines on straight bets. I know you're only available in the northern part of the state right now, but I know you'll be in southern Nevada very soon here.
Yeah, we're going through a field trial now with our mobile app, and you have to be at Baldini's and Sparks to sign up for it. And then, you know, pending gaming approval, we need to get gaming approval for the app has to get approved, and then we have to get approval for our marketing plan to sign up for Vegas. But we're hoping that's imminent, you know, in the next few weeks. And of course, we can't, like I said, we can't do anything before gaming. But we have a 16-cent line on all the games. We have an 8-cent line on most of the baseball games. You know, I think the better way, John, is to say that we really don't have an 8-cent line because it goes to 10 and 12 and 15, but it's really about a 1.8% hold, constant hold all the way up for baseball, and it's about a 3.6% hold for football. So, you know, it starts at $1.08 and then it graduates to, you know, a 17-cent line, 18-cent line, and so on and so forth. But we have by far the best lines, we believe, as far as VIG goes in Nevada, and because of that, we pay true parlay odds. So, you know, there's no pay chart with us. You get, all it does is each game multiplies out, and the parlay payouts are substantially higher, usually anywhere from 10 to 25% higher on parlay payouts than a traditional pay table. So, you know, we're really excited about that, and we think that's going to drive, you know, a lot of traffic. So, you know, we just want everybody to get a chance to see the app and then decide for themselves.
Robert, I know that you are a big WNBA fan, right? So you get the number one draft pick again for the Las Vegas Aces. Now, do you go for Nafessa Collier or Katie Lou Samuelson from Connecticut, or do you go big with like a 6'7" player like Kalani Brown from Baylor? You're a big WNBA fan. I hope you made money this season.
Well, he doesn't like Bill Laimbeer. I know this. So if Bill Laimbeer's going to go big, he's not going to pick a shooter, right, Robert?
You know, that it's such a good draft, you know, and you got that girl from Mississippi State too that's phenomenal. But yeah, I actually think that if it's Lambeer's call, and I think it is, he'll go big. And then what happens? You have these twin tower situation that you know, we've seen a few times, and I think they'll go big. And then I don't think he wants another 3-point shooting guard or anybody like that. So I think he'll won't take Samuelson, although she's going to be a great draft pick. Collier's the one that's really good because she's phenomenal. But I mean, this is 3 years in a row, so I think you're going to see Vegas in that you know, elite company in the next few years. This is obviously what drives every team, is when you get 3 great picks in a row and they are all great. He just does not know how to deal with guards. He does not know how to use them. If you look at the teams last night, you know, they're all outside shooting teams, and then I mean, I don't understand if he doesn't realize that opens up the inside. You know, if you have a good outside game, the inside game, it makes it so much easier for Asia Wilson. But no, I'm super excited. You know, I renewed my season tickets, you know, immediately, and I'm really excited. But you know, my favorite team is the Storm, and they're in the finals. And you know, I'm probably one of the few bookmakers that just watched the Storm game last night and didn't watch hardly any of the TCU games. So.
The big game of the day, the Texans in New England. We finally have Texas with Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. They're all healthy. Big expectations for the Texans this season?
I have huge expectations for him because I love Watson. I mean, I think he's if he could stay healthy, I think he's a generational type player. You know, everybody passed on him, and I based that off of Alabama, right? I go, here's a guy that Saban had, all these months, 2 years in a row to prepare for this guy and couldn't even come close to stopping him. And I said, this guy, to see him get passed up like he did was, to me, remarkable. And then what he did in the very few games they played last year was just, he looked like a top 5 quarterback already. And just the key with him if he can stay healthy. But like you said, the Texans being healthy all the way around is, they just one of those teams that seems to suffer, injuries every single year to key players. This is going to be a really good game, and the public, as you would imagine, we're getting a lot of Texan play. We're at 6 right now in the Patriots. If Watson's not playing, that game's probably 10. So it shows you what we think of Watson. So, and the jury's still on the Patriots. We don't know. You're kind of betting Brady and Belichick, I think, in this game, as opposed to anything else. So if you believe in those two, then you'll pay the Patriots. But I think the Texans have a big shot here, and clearly I'm not going to bet any Texan games under with Watson because he's electrifying.
Thank you, Robert. Robert Walker
Thanks, Robert.
from U.S. Bookmaking has been our guest. Stay tuned. We'll wrap up today's show when we return right after these messages on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Drink, dine, and
CBS Sports Radio. We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Reach out to us. Tweet at Adrenaline LV. Find us on Facebook, Sports Adrenaline LV. Or call us now at 702-889-5978. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
A reminder that Joe D'Amico's football forecast is coming your way next at 10 a.m., a non-remixed version of the show you heard earlier. And then we will have Eye on College Football, which is phenomenal. That will start at 11. And our prediction board is filling up. So I said Ed Oliver, the outstanding linebacker / defensive end / high motor guy from the University of Houston, will be a Raider. And Matt, wait a second, Matt. You're the official.
Unbiased opinions on this show, Tony.
Oh, my goodness.
Hashtag no fanboy.
Yeah, okay, no fanboy. As I take a look at the San Jose Mercury the other day, and fanboy waving his flag. You're waving your Raider flag right there at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Are you kidding me right now?
I didn't say I wasn't a fan. I said I'm not a fanboy.
Oh,
it's different.
Goodness.
That was a year and a half ago. Settle down, Tony.
My Jets are going to win by 30.
By the way, what you're talking about here is I wrote on the board, the Rams are going to blow the Raiders out on Monday Night Football. I've said that for months now, and I stand by it.
So far, mine is the only true lock. Tony
will
ignore anything Matt and John say.
Tony will ignore anything Matt. What did you say?
There you go.
Can we check in with Sonia? Because she's having a heart attack over the first quarter of the Purdue Eastern Michigan game. Like, can you focus on our show, Sonia? What's happening?
I was just checking the updates, that's all.
Yeah, but you had your hands on your head and you were freaking out.
Because I thought they were going to tie it, but they're only down by 1, so we're okay.
In the first quarter.
What's the atmosphere?
They're in the second.
What's the atmosphere like at Purdue football games? They don't win very often, so
Actually, you're quite wrong. Because last season we made a comeback because they had the new coach Jeff Brom, and we took it to a bowl game, the Foster Farms bowl game, and we beat Arizona. So it's a shift in change at Purdue, Tony, and they are so much fun. If you see on Twitter and social media, they have this tradition where everyone from the earlier in the morning goes to the game in costumes. So you'll see all the kids in costumes. It's pouring rain right now, so they're all in their ponchos and costumes supporting our Boilermakers.
So hold on. So Purdue got a brand new coach and instantly went to a bowl game?
They did.
I thought it took like 4 or 5 years, and you have to build and build and build. Isn't that the case?
Have you seen
Tony
Jeff?
Avoid the question. Look at Tony dodging.
Have you guys
Like
seen
the
Jeff
Matrix
Brom's?
over
Have
here.
you guys
Just
seen Jeff
dodging
Brom?
bullets.
Have you seen Jeff Brom's son on the sidelines? He's
Yes,
13 years old.
he has his own Twitter too.
He thinks he's a coach.
Sonia
so
is
excited.
He's
fired
13
up
years
about
old.
Purdue
He's
football.
going to
You know
be
what?
a coach.
They're making a comeback. They are making a comeback, and it's going to be super exciting.
So Bachelor and Purdue football.
Yes.
This is how
If
Sonia
you wanna
Bachelor
win
of
Sonia
Paradise
out, there
is
it is.
big. I thought she'd be watching that. You kind of let me down. Hey, real quickly here, a couple of notes. So the Aces, right? Let's point out that Asia Wilson and Kelsey Plum, they played on separate teams at the USA basketball scrimmage on Wednesday night, but now they're both part of the 15-player roster that will take on Canada tonight in Connecticut. So hopefully both players can land a spot there on the final USA World Cup team, and the FIBA World Cup begins September the 22nd. I think it's 10 days long, and that'll happen in Spain. And then, of course, the Viva Lights tonight. The Lights return home. They play the LA Galaxy 2.
Dropping poker chips.
Kickoff at 8 o'clock. Saturday is tonight is also the $5,000 helicopter drop. And the Lights last night, they entertained the media from 5 to 6, so they went over the whole promotion and how it's going to work. And did somebody walk off with a sawbuck? I think I saw one of your students out there, John.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now. He's throwing cash in the air. I'm not sure if that's Monopoly money or real money, but yeah, I've got now my Rebel Report students. They're all over the valley because school is back in session,
and because
so we're
they're
gonna get
Emmy
some
winners,
really,
and because they're Emmy winners.
Emmy winners. We're gonna get some good insight. They'll be at the cash drop tonight, and they will be able to get some good video of this, and we'll bring it on our Facebook show and every outlet that we've got here on social media. I do want to mention, and I really do want to thank our sponsors for hopping on board, our two new sponsors, Michael Westra, Allstate Agency, 702-435-4211. I've been a client of his for a lot of years, and he'll walk you through any claim that you have. He doesn't just say, hey, call the main 800 number. So they're awesome. Glad he's a part of it. And then the Pint, they're UNLV grads, Nick Starr and his crew. Great food, great food. A lot of great specials during the NFL season. So get down there all day Sunday, and they always put sound for the Raider games up in the bar.
Hey, John, tell us about this Rebel Business Network luncheon that you're
God.
moderating.
Why is everybody is on this? I'm getting texts from people I haven't heard from in months. They're like, hey, you're moderating this Rebel Business luncheon. Yes, it's about the Maryland Parkway corridor. I'm just going to be hosting with a few, I think the owner of Paymans, which is on Maryland Parkway. They've got another location, I think, in Henderson. And we're just going to be talking about that importance of the corridor and potentially that being the first spot for a light rail.
Can I get a comp lunch out of this?
No.
Can I come and hang out?
I'm not even sure I get a comp lunch.
Can we?
They just said, hey,
heckle
can you
you?
do this? And I was like, okay.
Can we heckle you? No,
Yeah.
I might show up. It looks really as though it's
Statler
going to be
and
very
Waldorf hanging up in the
very
rafters, heckling the whole
informative.
time.
Very
Tony's
informative.
going to take over, or he'll just ignore me. And then what?
Yeah. Yeah.
In any event,
He has nothing.
You did it.
He has
You
nothing.
did it.
In
He
any
has
event,
nothing to
I'm
come
done.
back.
That's a wrap
So in
right there.
any
You
event,
silenced Tony.
have you guys ever been in a
It's a wrap.
nightclub when they make it rain and just the pandemonium?
We know you have.
I know I have several times, but that's what it's going to be like tonight. You're going to tell people
man.
that they need to stand in one place as money is raining down on them? Get out of here. Come
Sonia,
on.
you're going to be there, right?
Come
I
on,
remember
seriously?
you saying you wanted to go
Oh,
collect
yeah.
some cash.
Are you going?
Yeah, see, the goal is when it drops, you want to sit on all the money, and then you just rake it and you just sit on it so no one can grab it.
There you go.
Are
She's
those all
thought
going to be
about
dollar
this.
bills? Or what denominations will they have?
I can't see.
It's only
I don't
10
think
mile
it
an
said.
hour
It
wins
does look like
tonight.
Monopoly money that my student in the Facebook or
no
in the
good.
Twitter video.
Yeah,
is,
because he would have
throwing up.
taken it
Yeah.
for sure. Well, we've had a really action-packed show this morning. We'd like to thank our several guests here on the show. So Brian Campbell, CBS Sports, Combat Sports Weekly, Landry Locker checking in. Hopefully those guys can win the big bet. What, $8,000 they've got on the money line for the Texans at plus what?
Plus 220.
220.
He said 225. I don't think they have.
I know.
they
Yeah,
don't do
I don't know where that line came from. So Landry Locker, Sports Radio 610.
Secret line for
and
Houston
thanks-
bettors.
And thank him so much for coming to Vegas, hanging out, partying, and making the show at 9 o'clock.
Hey, I'm going to make a prediction for the board. Zach Whitecloud will take Nate Schmidt's spot on the Golden Knights roster.
Put
for
it
the
up
first
there.
20 games.
Put
So
it
I'll
up
do that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
write that down.
Yeah,
Right
our
there.
prediction board is. We're going
Erase
to
all
need a
of those
bigger
blue
board.
ones
We're
real
gonna,
quick.
we're
All
gonna,
of
that's
Tony's
my color.
nonsense.
Yeah, and also, of course, we had Larry Brown, the county commissioner, with some great insight into the parking plan. And again, a work in progress. Nate Jacobson, good luck to the Rebels tonight. The starting right tackle, of course, and Robert Walker was our guest from U.S. Bookmaking. Man, what a action-packed show. You guys have predictions on the Rebel game tonight?
They won't
Mine's
cover.
on the board.
They won't
They're going to
cover.
struggle. My prediction is they're going to struggle. I don't think that translates to a loss necessarily, but they're going to struggle.
Yeah,
That's just
which
what
means
this team does.
They will not cover. 24 points is unless they score 80 like they did against Southern Idaho. What was that score?
Prove us wrong,
Yeah.
right, John?
Yep.
Prove us wrong.
So
Please, we're
next
waiting.
week we'll have a what amounts to a split show. So we'll be on from 7 to 8, and then from
6
6
to
to 7, and then 8 to 9. You screwed me up, Matt. My prediction is somebody's going to not make that show.
I screwed you
because
up.
we're changing.
I gave you the times. How did I
Okay,
screw you
everyone
up?
is alerted here that we will have a split show starting at 6 o'clock on what is an unbelievable sports Saturday, sports weekend. We thank everyone for tuning in, for our entire crew. So long for now. We'll see you next Saturday right here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.